And all I have to say is, drizzle, drizzle.
Cursed be the ground, for our sake. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for us. For out of the ground we were taken, for the dust we are. And to the dust we shall return.
You can't win, you can't break even, and you can't get out of the game. People keep saying things are gonna change, but they look just like they stay the same. You're getting way over your head, and you only got yourself to blame. You can't win, child, can't break even, can't get out of the game. Yeah. I'm done with life, and it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault. I'm done.
All right, my dusty denizens, you dusty kings, you drizzle kings, okay? We're going to dispense with the normal greetings because we have a special guest for part 2. What's going on, cousin? What's up, cousin?
How you feeling?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm excellent. I'm excellent. Happy to be
I'm
here.
glad you could squeeze me in that busy schedule, man.
Yeah, with a topic like this, I definitely have to spin the block.
Okay. Thanks, Ash, to start us off with the super chat. Appreciate you. Is there anything that you want to get out of the way before we get started?
You know what? I always have to check in on the family. Check in to see how everybody's doing. How's the grandson doing? And
he's doing good, man. He's got the bug, so he's basically I'm talking about sick. He's got the acting bug, so he's he's in a play, he's in a showcase, High School Musical, I think it is.
Oh, nice.
So
he's very good.
He's 11. He's trying to. He said he wants to be famous. So.
You
might have to teach him a few things, man.
Oh man, learning curve.
Learning curve. He's trying, but he's got good teachers, so he's got really good teachers,
excellent.
So, he's got
so I'll say that update on the family. That's always good. The second thing, what are you reading?
Ooh, right now I'm getting ready to read. I got to finally get into. I'm getting into Black Marxism.
Okay.
I read that one, and then I read Jared Ball's book, and I want to learn about Black Marxism, or their angle, their take on it. So because I got to go back and forth. I've been reading up on the over the last couple of weeks. I've been reading up on the causes of the Civil War. So I've been reading up. I had already read D. Lorenzo's book, the Real Lincoln, and read Empire of Cotton, and they had suggested that the real cause of the war was probably about money, which is most causes of war, and that South Carolina secession, which they had tried to do before in 1932, 1933, that Andrew Jackson stopped, was about tariffs. And the moral tariffs had been passed, I think, in 1959, and was getting ready to go into effect in 1961, right after Lincoln got elected. And so the states left. And so we had been going back and forth, which has caused, it was about slavery, or was it about money, about tariffs, and why did the South leave? So I've been reading up on that. So I've read through maybe I got 10 papers about it. So
yeah, there are a lot of quotes and memes going around online, depending on what your algorithm looks like, about the so-called Lincoln tariffs.
Yes. Oh, they were actually the Buchanan tariffs, and then Lincoln adopted them. Okay. Because it was on Buchanan, because the secession happened under Buchanan. It was handed to Lincoln, but Buchanan didn't do what Andrew Jackson did. So Andrew Jackson threatened South Carolina when South Carolina first started talking the tariffs and talk about the secession, and Buchanan didn't do anything. So that left it up to Lincoln to do. So, in fact, there was I'm getting ready to I've got it on the docket about I think the Corin amendment. Okay, that didn't get. It was supposed to be the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, legalizing slavery forever. Okay,
Mm,
and it didn't pass because the South had already seceded. So, and Lincoln actually agreed with it. So, saying that Lincoln was against slavery is not quite as true as people would think it is. So, it's not to say that people are wrong that thinking that slavery was was the cause of the Civil War. I just have a different opinion, and certain people said I was full of it. So I said, okay, well, we just pull out the documents, and I'm whether you agree with me or not, I said I have a valid case for it. So that's
gotcha.
what I'm working on right now.
Excellent.
What are you reading, sir?
Well, I just
Are you reading techno feudalism and techno socialism by any chance?
yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go over that webinar. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it. I would have been I'm excited to watch the playback, but I would have been more excited to participate, especially I saw the AI section, and you
Hmm.
already know
Yeah, that is.
what our position is on that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
well, you do you actually. I think it's going to go forward. I think it's going to go full speed. I think the cat is out of the bag, and I think, or the I'm going to say it's out of the box. So
yeah, I mean, there's two sides to it. There's the technocratic acceleration side, and there's the mass marketing media side, which is suggesting that, oh, these larger companies overshot their projection, which is not
I
is not the case.
believe.
So as far as what I've been reading, I finished the Fractalist
Oh, okay,
uh,
very good.
about Benoit Mandelbrot for anybody who's interested in that. I am indexing. Okay, shout out to Dr. T. Dr.
Oh,
T. Azar
okay,
Johnson. So
very
I'm
good.
going back through this book so that I can properly index the. There's so many quotables in this book that in the charts are, because of how up to date they are and how informative and in depth Dr. Johnson goes with that
And
one. I want
he
to
had
make sure that I have
and
those quotables ready.
and he had to squeeze that. He had to squeeze because
Oh
he
yeah,
had double the amount of information, and the book was probably too small for what he had, so he had to really squeeze the information that he had into that book. So I mean, it's really dense.
right. What also is very informative are the references that he makes, and obviously, being in this space, it feels good to have a lot of familiar references of people that you actually have some sort of dynamic with,
Hmm.
and it's a wonderful resource to go back to reference, and that's really why I want to build out a decent index for it. So
Yeah,
um,
if you wanna understand the Black Manosphere in a small book, that would be the book.
absolutely, it's a great entry point. Finally, I'm gonna put that up. It's called Playing Well with Others. Okay,
Okay, okay.
so
Tell me about it. Tell me
this
about it.
will this will segue into today's sort of topic of
Oh,
the conversation. This is an essential guide to kink. Okay, so we're obviously shifting gears, but it's just a refresher for me so that I can have a better grasp of the language, because I've never really been into that space in terms of
okay.
the lifestyle.
Hmm.
But I've dated dominatrices, if
Hmm.
that's how you say it,
Yeah.
and have some wonderful stories about what they do to betas. So
Well
that's
paid,
that's
and
what's on my reading list right now. So
okay, I'm gonna have to write it down. Okay, I'm gonna have to write it down. If it comes highly recommended.
yeah, playing well with others. That's the title.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm noticing there's a lot of, especially for the '92 class. There's a lot of that uh, BDSM going on.
yes.
I'm not sure exactly why is the upper classes practice it, but it
Oh,
seems to be very prevalent.
That's a great segue again. I finished this book by Esther Perel called "Mating in Captivity." So
Okay.
her theory on why the 92 octane
Okay. Oh.
is basically because of, she calls it traditional fatalism,
Hmm.
meaning that from a Eurocentric worldview, a lot of people who are in those sort of traditional relationships
Okay.
see that intimacy, that there's no comprehensive way of expressing intimacy within the confines of traditional relationships. So she refers to that dynamic of seeking out the other as traditional fatalism.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. It's deep psychology.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
because she's a psychotherapist, and
okay.
she sits with all types of couples, interracial couples, European American, black, white, other, blended, and alternative couples. So this book
Okay.
is the result of a lot of hands-on research, and researching with her colleagues, and in her own sort of um, explanation into what she refers to as mating in captivity, which is basically how modern traditional couples deal with the lack of intimacy
Mm,
because of what what is deemed as fidelity.
okay. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, the artificial strictures
That's it.
that we put on each other. Okay. So Jab asked who wrote "Playing Well with Others."
Uh, this one was written by Lee Harrington.
Lee
Lee
Harrington.
Harrington.
Okay. Okay.
There's the cover. There's a look at the cover, playing well with others. Uh, so BGS, what did you think of that 92 octane clip that I sent you?
Ah, we might have to play that. That was funny because uh it's almost like almost like a debutante
Right.
ball, that I saw.
So those would be
What
natural 92s, right?
natural 92s, yeah. And it's almost like a debutante. I'm announcing that I play golf, but I'm actually showing off what I do in real life as a coming out. I don't know if that
Right.
makes sense.
Right. What I thought was interesting is that they had the uniform, they had the language,
Right.
they
Yeah.
had the mask and posture and the performance of the natural 92 octane. I don't think we see, well, it's relative to your algorithm, but I don't think that that's displayed enough. And I thought it was a perfect, or an ideal contrast to the eight at the table
Yeah. Yeah.
situation that we had. So,
I've seen it. I have seen it, but I've seen it in various forms, especially in TikTok, right? Like at a wedding, and where they come in their wedding gowns and stuff like that, and announcing exactly what they do.
mm,
I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm a doctor. I'm a neurosurgeon. I'm this. I'm that. I'm seeing a lot of that. So
okay.
like them
Okay.
announcing what they do in their profession. So yeah, I'm starting to see that, like they want to be, I don't know, they want to be seen. So, and I think they want to be seen publicly because, as you know, most of that stuff that where they go to their balls and their parties and stuff like that, it's really behind closed doors.
It's well gate kept.
It's
Yes.
well good kept. So I don't think it's seen as much as they used to be. Where there used to be like, okay, you have the commoners on the outside and watching them walk into their little soirees. So
I
I
love it. I love it. Commoners. I love being a commoner. Isn't it great? This is the best.
well, it's funny to us because we kind of intersect with different classes, so
Mhm.
it's hilarious to us to see them because
It's a
we know
great.
who these people are on the inside. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. And in private, and in
yeah,
behind closed doors.
yeah, yeah. So
So
yeah. So it's hilarious. But
mhm.
let's go ahead and boot your dime versus baddies up.
While you
I,
do that, shout out to the chat. Shout out to the folks in the chat. Everybody who's showing love. Uh,
it
there
said
you go.
obviously
Yeah.
got my pen and notebook out for this one. Salute.
There you go.
One
There
of
you
your
go.
students,
Salute to
Zavi.
you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So let's go ahead and boot this one up, and
All right, Charles.
it's hilarious for the um, a lot of the stuff that they display nowadays is, it's exactly this, because you look on TikTok, you look on um, you look on uh,
Twitter and
Twitter, Instagram, stuff like that. You see, this displayed, and it's just like the meme that's taken over. Even to some of the upper classes, you see some of this stuff going on. So
yeah.
yeah, so even with you, it's not as extreme. It's almost like a very small um, differential between the upper classes and the lower classes, right? Yeah, as far as how they dress.
Yeah, that's the thing about popular culture, right?
Mhm.
And the influence that it has on a variety of women, or a diverse sort of group of women. There's a commenter. You just made me remember a comment that someone left on one of my shorts about
Okay.
um, you know, what women want. I think the short was about, you know, presenting your optimal look to attract women that,
Hmm.
are part of your tribe.
Right.
And I think the comment said, women want, the only thing that women want are good looking men who are tall. And my response to that would be, the difference between what women want and what they desire
Yeah, are two different things. Yeah.
exposes who has game or not.
Hmm.
So
There's all kinds of different mixes, because the best guy, the best pickup artist I've ever seen was not tall. He was like 5'7", and
right,
he only weighed, I think Billy at his heaviest was 140 pounds. Okay,
right.
and he looked like, and I've heard him describe this, it looked like an ugly little faggot.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, when most women, upon seeing him, first glance, he looked like ugly little faggot. Best pickup artist I've ever seen in my life, and
There
I've
you go.
seen him undress women within like 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
And
So that
he had game. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
so that proves what women want is social acceptance, but
Hmm.
what women desire is passionate fulfillment.
Hmm.
If you can deliver passionate fulfillment, you got
Hmm.
it.
Yeah, and he'd weave his little web and compliment them and say certain things to touch on certain places,
That's it.
and either one, two things: either they screw him, or they would run out of the room, screaming. I had to leave. So what's wrong, baby? I said, I was getting ready to give him some pussy.
You have to catch yourself.
Had to catch myself.
I love it.
Oh boy. Anyhow, let's go ahead and get this started. You can stop it, and just let me know when you want to stop it. Okay.
Okay. What's cracking, YouTube family? It's a baby mama's favorite cousin T-Taw. And today we have the answer. Okay. So the question, first of all, posed by a loyal Patreon subscriber. The question is, what is the difference between a dime piece and a baddie? And I think, this is a great topic to address, because we talk so much about reclaiming, or rebalancing the definition of beauty in terms of the feminine aesthetic. Okay.
Okay.
And so when we talk,
Okay.
so one of the things that I referred to yesterday during this stream was the necessity to define what beauty is,
Okay.
just for the sake of having a working definition. Now, if I ask you, how do you define beauty? Feminine beauty, or just in general?
Feminine beauty would be, me personally, is the aesthetic that's in my imprint, what's in my mind. That's how
I
I
like
define
that.
it. So
I
I
like
mean,
that.
it's different for everybody, but that's why I define it. And so, I
Mm.
notice what is beautiful to me is not necessarily beautiful to everyone. But there's a global beauty, as far as when you work yourself on way down from like the eights, nines, or tens, which is global accepted features.
Right.
Um, say you start with your perfect 10, which is your gorgeous runway model, and you work your way down. That's globally. But beauty, like I said, your beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Whatever your imprint is in your brain. That's why I've always worked it personally. But since I was a photographer for a lot of years,
Mm.
I go by who's the accepted model, and I work my way down. the nose, the eyes, the cheekbones, height, skin color, not just skin color, but skin texture. Is her
Mm.
skin smooth? Um, her eyes a little bit more almond and nicely spaced. Is her nose doesn't have to necessarily be narrow, but it has to be straight. Um, Lips have to be not too thin, not too full. She's got to have a smaller chin. You know, um, uh, she's got to have sort of like an angle to her face a little bit. You don't want it too round and pudgy. Um, but yeah, and so I go by the classic standard of beauty, and then I work my way down.
So my follow-up question to that is, what does beauty do for you and to you?
What it does to me is well, basically it attracts you, makes you feel good. Just beauty makes you feel good just being around it. Okay. What it does for me, as far as a man is concerned, okay, if she's mine, that gives, it draws attention to me. Like Russell Wilson said, it tilts the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's almost like driving, that's why men acquire beautiful women. It's like driving the baddest car on the block.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you certain cachet. In other words, you say you can be a common dude and you come in with a chick that's 8, 9, or 10. And the first thing is this: how the hell did he get her?
Mm-hmm.
What is it about him that he could acquire such a beautiful woman? So
Permit me to quote Beyonce, if
Mhm.
that's all right.
Go ahead.
Doesn't she say, bring her in to compliment the deal?
Yes. 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 That's your ticket in. Okay. Your ticket to discounts too. Because I had friends that use
Oh yeah,
beautiful woman to get discounts. She could get a deal where you couldn't.
and access
Oh yes.
to spaces.
Yes. Yes. My daughter's suffering from that.
Poor thing.
Poor thing. Yeah. I just say pretty girl problems, huh?
So the reason why I wanted to get that sage wisdom, I could ask 100 guys that question, and most of them would be stumped, because they haven't processed it. They haven't reflected upon what that means to them. Like, oh, I just see something bad, or I see something good looking or something fine. I'm gonna go after it. Why?
Yeah.
What is it? How are you inspired by it? Is that a muse moment?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see something that's familiar? Or, of course, you're drawn to it, but what is it that's happening?
Mm-hmm.
How are you relating to what this dynamic that's
it's
happening?
it's like great art. Okay, how does it
Absolutely.
make you feel?
That's what I was
I usually
going
use
towards.
back other chicks up. So I walk in with an 8 and then backs other chicks up. You can see them draw back. Oh my God.
Right. And she's compliant. She's cooperative. She gonna get you a plate.
Yep. Yeah, she will.
That's it. Okay. So I just wanted to pause it for that quick.
But that's how I would describe it. That would be my definition of it. People have different definitions, but that's how I would define it in those two ways. And a lot of guys, especially on here, man, they define it personally instead of, so when we rate women, it's different than what we think of as beautiful.
Right. Exactly. And with maturity and experience comes the ability for objectivity.
Yes.
How do you classify a level of beauty relative to contemporary standards, to conventional measures, and other comparatives, as opposed to just how she makes you react personally.
Right.
So definitely. So keep going.
And also class has a lot to do with it.
Yes. Yes, those but I mean, so one of the things that I like to do is when I do the three comp or three composite, you already know what a comp card is.
Right.
The three composite shot sort of picture of a woman that I'm identifying as a case study is to show her in casual wear and her bathing suit and in her evening gown.
Yes.
So that it reflects her class identity.
Yes.
And what a lot of people, why I do that is so that people can get an understanding of what she's transmitting in terms of class, experience, refinement, and what she's looking to attract.
Yeah. That's a funny thing because I was looking at the Bailey sisters, right?
Yes.
The singers that try to act like they're 85, try to act like they're uh, baddies, okay, instead of what they are, right? And the first time I saw them being interviewed, I noticed the way they sat. I said,
Okay.
okay, you guys are trying to pretend like about that you're something that you're not. Okay,
That's
you
a
got
really good point.
you're
Yeah.
not 304s that I can tell by the way you sit. Okay, that you're
Mhm.
not a 304. Okay,
Oh yeah.
and their
Yeah.
posture. Okay, you guys are what is cosplay. So as far
I
as that
mean,
goes,
well, Haley is taking it a bit far with the
yeah.
baby.
Naomi
um,
Osaka is it's a thing. Okay.
I know that I was going to say that par for. I don't know. That's but again, we're looking at social trends,
Yes.
which is interesting. So yeah, first it was Naomi Osaka. Obviously, as a tennis player myself, that was some interesting, some
Yeah.
interesting information to take in. But then you
And,
see Haley, and
yeah.
now you
Yeah, and it's actually so Naomi Osaka shocked me because she's raised traditional Japanese, and
Japanese, right?
you can see by her personality that why are you dating a no-name rapper and then having a baby out of wedlock by him? Made no sense. It's almost like class suicide for her.
Yeah, it's interesting. And now we have the Ebony K. Williams situation, which I don't want to digress too far into,
I
but we're
expect
talking about trends now.
I expected out of her because okay, that is something, and she admitted it. This is a miracle for her, right? Because
Mm,
this is the last chance.
okay.
She's actually she tried not to replicate her mother, but she wind up replicating her mother.
Mm, now that's deep.
And and uh, and the second thing is that um, she finally realized that she's too insufferable to be married to anybody,
Mm, like Eartha Kitt.
like Eartha Kitt. Yeah, she's too insufferable. She cannot be married to anybody. It's not going to work, and she knows it. So I'm glad that she's happy that she has a child, and I'm glad that she didn't marry anybody because I don't want to see that guy. Okay, I want to see the look on the guy's face to have to be married to her. So I've met
Hilarious.
women like that, and mm, so
Well, she's
I'm
got
happy.
maintenance men.
Well, she can get as many as she wants, paid and unpaid, and
Yes,
hopefully paid to keep their mouths shut. So I'm not. It's not to have sex with them, it's for them to keep their mouth shut. So
exactly. Okay. Talk about the definitions as we get into this particular discussion. We first have to reiterate what the House of Technicians definition of dime piece is. And that simply is the popularized perception of the feminine ideal. Okay. So I'll definitely link down below.
okay. The 5 levels of Dyme. Yeah, we probably should have included that. I might look it up.
Oh, the that video or
Yeah, the video. Yeah,
yeah,
is it still up on? Is it still public?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, the
We might look it up, but we'll get to this.
more expansive dive I've done on this particular topic. But for the sake of this conversation, the difference between a dime piece and a baddie, quote unquote, I'm going to also present what I believe the definition of a baddie is. And that simply is a commodified meme of what a post feminine woman presents as. Okay. So, in essence, if the dime piece is the 9/10, and when we go into
Oh,
what,
that's my girl.
yeah, I figured you appreciate that. Feel free to interject any personal
I would say
experiences.
she would be my if I had to pick a conventional dime, epitome of it, she would be it. She's tall. She was a high fashion model.
Right.
She's got a great body. She's got the almond eyes. Okay, she's got the exotic look. She's got the high cheekbones. She's perfect as far as a dime piece. Can't do any better. I mean, I'm sure there's equivalents, but can't do any better. When I go to my dime, I said, "Look at her; she's a dime." You start there and work your way down. Okay.
Now, okay, we won't talk about her page 6 scandals that
Oh, well, Dimes. I didn't say they were moral people. Okay.
it's relative. Right?
And when with the profession that you work in, dimes belong to everybody. So you get a
Oh
dime,
yeah.
she's not just yours. It's only your turn.
Listen, if you have a vehicle that allows you access to explore the
Mm-hmm.
realms of
Mm-hmm.
the human experience,
Mm-hmm.
what are you gonna do with it?
You're gonna do with it, hey,
You know, keep it parked in the or placed on the shelf and leave it there, or
you taking it out on the highway and you putting the pedal to the metal sometimes.
the pedal to the metal, the yacht to the sea, and
Uh-huh.
the Gulf Stream to the air. That's
Mm-hmm. It started when you're about 13, 14 years old, and I'm sure she did.
indeed.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've seen them, parked the little Benzes parked outside of the high school, looking for the local baddie, right? The local dime.
Yes,
Mm,
and that could be an entire conversation on into itself, because when men who have developed themselves into the type of person who can be in these spaces, in
mm-hmm.
shared spaces with women of this caliber,
Mm-hmm.
and you have the demeanor, the decorum, and the presence of the type of man who they feel comfortable sharing openly and freely with, you get those stories.
Mm-hmm.
You get the stories about, being sent plane tickets at 13,
Mm-hmm.
14,
14, yeah.
going to France. And I mean, basically what happened with Kamora Lee, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Russell Simmons.
Right. Look at Kobe Bryant and his wife, right? She was 16, if I'm not mistaken. It was, I was hearing about stories him parking his Benz outside of outside of the high school, picking her up. So
Right. And there's so many, there's so many positions or angles to those conversations as well, because let's be clear, when we see a picture like the one that's on the screen right now,
mm-hmm.
we just look at this image of beauty, and the halo effect takes over, right?
It does.
You think, oh, she can't do anything wrong. She's had well upbringing. She's classy.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, she's reserved. Certainly, you
Mm.
know. But then she talks to you about how when she was 14, 15, and 16 in high school, pining over her math teacher,
Mm-hmm.
who was a former NFL fullback, or
Mm-hmm.
and they don't use any uncertain terms. I mean, they'd be like, if he would have went, she would have went for her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just an example of, there's another side to um this dynamic of what the exchange is between various human dynamics. You say the Benz is parked outside of a school, or the
Mm-hmm.
Benz is parked outside of a music conservatory or ballet,
Yeah, or the hood,
or, yeah, depending
yeah,
on the echelon. Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But what's going through the mind of a woman, when she's offered these elements or these aspects of life, especially if she's in a situation to whereas no one in her immediate circle has experienced these things. Certainly not her mom, certainly not her sisters or cousins or any of her friends in her friend group.
Mm-hmm.
What's actually on the minds?
It's like being LeBron James playing on the high school team. Okay.
Right, getting offered that H2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's interesting to have these discussions, because I don't think the average person has even thought about what their perspective is on this, and because of social pressure, because of the sort of social stigma of women being candid publicly, a lot of this goes unsaid in public spaces.
Yeah. Yeah. It would. Yeah. Yeah, it's not as well. Yeah, with social media now, cameras everywhere, so it's kind of hard to keep it under wraps as much as it used to be. Yeah, but yeah, that's yeah, yeah. Dimes are interesting. I had my heart broken by a dime and a Mercedes.
Uh-oh.
When I was about
Have you told this
16.
story? I think this.
I have told the story. She was a gorgeous girl. In fact, she was her sister was fine as hell, and she was 15.
Mm.
And I she could have that first time you see her and like your heart stops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, She was walking up the stairs and her stuff coming from a gym class, walking up the stairs. Said, "Oh, okay, got to have her." And I, full court press, and didn't stop till one day after school. I started getting Mercedes, and you realize there's a better man than you. Okay, and there's some things that are unattainable, and you're not ready yet. So
that is so interesting. That is interesting. And you said looking back, why would you say that you got your heart broken?
Because I thought she was mine, and I thought I thought we had this thing, and you pull up and find out that somebody trumped you. I said, okay, yeah. So your heart, little 16 heart goes.
So you were actually engaging with her. You were actually interacting with her.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Okay. That part I didn't know. Okay, I thought it was this whole fantasy in your mind, but no, you were actually okay.
Oh no. When I first saw her, I rushed her the first second I saw her. I said, okay. I said, that's gonna be mine. And so for the next couple of months, full court press until
Was that your first kiss?
No, that wasn't my first kiss. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Not even close.
So I was going to say, on the other side of that, again, of the bins, we'll just use the bins as the other league, right? The pro league, or as you said, the baller class, right?
Yeah.
When people or commentators or observers say that, well, that's what the average man has to compete with, but we have to understand what competition means. What are you competing for? Are you competing to be the guy that flies her out or gives her an experience, or are you competing to be the guy who can give her that passionate fulfillment?
Right.
Those are not the same thing.
Not the same thing. No.
And so I would imagine that experience has taught you that.
Oh, yeah. You have to level your expectations. You have to understand that that a beautiful woman has options, and you got to be wary of that. So you got to, and if she has options, she has choices. And you notice that like I've dated eights most of my time, and how can you tell that you have an eight when you're at a restaurant, you get up and go to the bathroom, and somebody's talking at the table, right away. Yes. She's an eight. Okay, she's a seven, maybe not, but an eight, yeah. Yeah, somebody's gonna take that opportunity to interject their program while you're into the bathroom washing your hands. Okay,
right? Because they lost their breath just like you lost your breath. Right? Breathtaking.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
It is interesting.
Cool.
Continue. But I went to school with a lot of dimes, so a lot of kids of stars and kids of rich and upper middle class black people and white people. So I'm competing to be the guy to give her an experience. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. If you have a chance to get one of these, you take her and you hold on to her as long as you can. Okay, because you're not they don't come around that often.
Right. And you have to fully have your operation going. You really have to be about your mission, because you have to have a spot for her, depending on who she is and how she actually comes across. If you want to promote her to that highest level on your roster, you have to have the ability to teach her how to be who you need her to be. And so that, I mean, for a dime piece or 8, 9, and 10, that requires a lot of,
it does,
introspection, knowledge of self, and just confidence. That's really the most important word, because if you remember the clip, the video you were playing yesterday, what did the one chick say? That even though she was surrounded by these baller executives or whatever,
right,
the one thing on her mind was taking that stuff back and giving it to her, her 87, 85 octane boyfriend.
Her hood dudes. Yeah,
there's no other place she would rather be, and that is the result of the hood dude or the 85 or the 87 knowing who he is and existing in that space. But not only that, making space for her as him telling her who she is to him. And because that's in her mind, he's the one that she wants to bring whatever she gets the trappings of the 92 or the 100 octane life back to. And so that's the dynamic that you would need to establish with a woman of this caliber.
And she's comfortable in her place, and you understand her, and so
that's there.
You have to understand her, and you have to make a connection, and that's what I've learned about number one, 8, 9s, or 10s, depending on how you want to grade them, right? I always say anything higher than a 7, she's got to pick you. Okay, you can't pick her; she's got to pick you.
Yes, that's a great point. That's the same thing with PYTs, pretty young things. Women who are like, if you're 30-year-old man, and you've got an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old pretty young thing, she is the one that will approach you in that dynamic. You just need to be ready to mentor her into the position that would maximize your time together.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's like driving a Ferrari, right, or driving a Porsche. Okay, it drives differently. Okay.
Yes,
it drives very differently.
Yeah, depending on which one you get, the ignition is on the other, the opposite side. If they're, if there even is one, some of them have speak to start. Some of them, it's a different lane.
It's a different lane.
Echelon, yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, when you go up the ladder, yes, it is. All right, continue.
But qualifies what aesthetic, what presentation qualifies as a dime. We can just basically present it like this. Dimes are developed, natural 9/10s that are refined via a system to highlight and accentuate their presentation. Dimes are known for their grace, poise, and congeniality. Okay, that's why we have the echelon of dime pieces. And as a matter of fact, we're going to use that particular echelon for today's conversation. In particular, first sort of rung of the echelon of dime pieces. So we're going to compare a pedestrian dime, or the echelon, the fifth echelon of dime pieces, to a prototypical baddie. And so let's look at the contrast between the definitions and the explanation of what a dime piece is and what this explanation of a baddie is. So remember, dimes are developed. Okay, you're taking a natural aesthetic and you're refining it. In terms of the baddie, right? Baddies are built, right? You're going to take a 5, even sometimes a 4.
We saw a 4.
Yeah,
baddie yesterday.
And listen, this is. Let me be clear. Let me be very clear. There is something for everybody, and I think we can poke fun at baddies for trying to flatten the scale, right?
Yeah.
But this is a testament to ingenuity. This is a testament to
technology. Yeah.
Their adaptability. Well, the adaptability of women and their desire to be desired. No matter what the circumstance.
It's kitchen is food. It's going on in WNBA right now. Yeah.
Oh, that's insane. It's. Good on them, man. They're selling tickets.
Oh yeah. I said that they need to call it the W and start a reality show and take little cameras around every little team during practice and workouts, and any little tip kind of record it and bring back, splice it up and call it the W. Okay, this week is the W.
Well, okay.
Women would go nuts over that kind of stuff, because that's the kind of stuff they like to see.
I'm going to tell you this real quick. Okay. There are a lot of men who are quiet or closed-lipped about having dated former or current WNBA or foreign league players. Someone in this current conversation notwithstanding. And I'll tell the story over on Patreon.
Okay.
But, former former professional female basketball player turned flight attendant. That's
Okay.
that's how I met this person. So
Yeah. My sister played college ball, and she knows, and where she played pickup, she knows. She's a female gym rat, so she knows a bunch of these girls. Back from the mid '90s, stuff like that. They all try to recruit her to play. So yeah, so I get insight, but she saw it coming. Saw it coming. Yeah, but yeah, the I think it would sell. I think it would a lot of the female side, they're not interested in the basketball, they're interested in the drama that's going on.
Right. And obviously the league is playing that up.
Oh, of course.
So yeah, I mean that's a good idea. A little spinoff. They can divvy up the rights and the
yeah. Shawnee, where you at? Shawnee O'Neal, where you at? Come on.
Oh
now.
my gosh. Them people gonna get robbed.
Yeah. Pimp Guy said it's an energy thing. Sometimes men try to master the aesthetic of high value, but women can tell the difference between a core high value in a man and a man with the trappings of high value. That's true.
Absolutely. Shout out to Pimp Guy.
The Cousin T loves those long legs. Well, Cousin T is tall, so so it helps.
Relative.
And he's a gym rat too. He just doesn't speak on it. So.
Oh yeah, I play basketball, tennis,
Yeah.
Football whenever. But yeah,
So.
definitely.
Yeah, but we're talking about the aesthetic and how women try to flatten the curve and afford.
And we'll get into it a little bit further into the review. But I give it up to female ingenuity. Like they gonna figure out how to get some attention from from the type of man that they want.
Yeah, my daughter made a comment maybe 3-4 years ago. I said she said you can actually buy pretty now. It's not as rare as it used to be. Yeah. So.
Oh my God!
I look at Mooney Long, man, and saw how she Money Long as she started, and even though she wasn't ugly, she was a little bit above average, but I saw how she shaped herself over time. So
yeah, but everything comes at a cost, though, and that's why I always go back to the foundation of true game, and that's to keep it real. If you keep it real, you're going to attract real people. But that's a whole other conversation for another. We're talking about surface stuff, right?
Yeah, we're talking about the starter kits. Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's get to the.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious when I first saw this. So we'll continue.
5, 6, 7, or 8, whose features are cosmetically enhanced to project a hyper realistic aesthetic. They are known for their aggression, entitlement, and toxicity. Hence the term baddie. She's a badass. She's a bad bee, boss bee, however you want to phrase it. That's the connotation that's brought forth. Okay, when that term baddie is used. All right. So those are the initial differences in terms of the baddie and the Dyme priest. And so for today's presentation, we're going to use these two examples readily available on the internet. I like I said, I always try to use public figures when doing these case studies because, I like to provide a reference link. And the reference link that I'm going to use will be provided on the Patreon side as opposed to the YouTube side, just to give a broader reference point. So I wanted to make sure that I gave it the House of Technicians sort of evaluation. And of course, we use the universal evaluation, which is, which is provided by the Miss Universe competition. I think it's probably the standard measurement or way of measuring the feminine aesthetic. Okay, so here's the first example of the Dyme Pieces casual evening and swim presentation. Okay, and here, as a comparison, is the Baddie. The Baddie's casual evening and swim presentation.
A lot more revealing. It's, I mean, you tell by their posture. Okay, that's the first thing. They're
Right.
revealing how they sit, the way they hold their legs are more open. Okay, it's a little bit more masculine looking. Um,
Mhm.
and I wanted to ask you why, if you're going to change the aesthetic, why do you uh take the masculine or the so-called 85 stance with it? Why does those two things come together? The aggression, the temperament. What do those two things actually come together?
Because it's popular.
Okay.
Um, the aggressiveness is a play on the mean girl
Mm,
motif.
okay.
So it's something that cuts across class and culture, but it's this sort of intersection of the desire to get what you want
Mm,
and to go get it no matter what. So there's a lot of underlying sort of elements that go into this sort of like, and plus it's like it's the complement of thug love, right? Like
hmm
if if because I mean in popular culture, you know, the highlighted sort of character is the thug, is the D boy, you know, is the the sort of street warrior,
hmm
the guy who has the ability to not only make money, disposable income, a lot of disposable income quickly, but is ready to pop off, you know, in an instant for what is his or to protect what is his. Um, and so only needs, you know, only needs in his life of sin is what? Just, you know, is Baddie.
mm,
So that would be the compliment. Is what I'm seeing in terms of how, why that aesthetic expresses itself the way it does. Obviously, the over tattooing
yeah.
is a part of popular culture,
hmm
and it's not like it's some type of ritual traditionalism that goes back to an indigenous origin.
hmm
It's it's a modern sort of scarification ritual
Yeah,
that.
it's swag. It's a representation that started with, we started with the athletes first, and then it worked its
Mhm.
way down. So baddies aren't just hood chicks trying to be dimes. No, it's a stance. A baddie can come from any one of the sectors. But thing is, what are they trying to act like?
Right. Um,
I think
yeah,
from a hooker culture, from stripper culture, a lot of this stuff comes from.
yeah. There's an overlap. There's a lot of so it's this amalgamation
Mhm.
of features and elements
Yeah.
that come from various. Because oh, as you'll see when we do the spectrum, that's why it's
Mm.
a spectrum.
Okay.
When we show the graphic of the spectrum of baddies, um, you know, you've got it expresses itself in
hmm
so many ways depending on the activity or
The
the
class.
the vocation or class of the baddie.
Yeah, because I've seen nurses and doctors and stuff like that to express their dark side. They come dress out. They dress out like a baddie in their evening wear. So it's interesting.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, when we talk about 92s, they're gonna be out of town. They're gonna be
Yeah, yeah,
they're gonna
yeah,
be removed from their social circle or sphere of influence.
yeah. It's true. Wouldn't be caught dead
No,
with one of these. Yes.
kicking up dirt.
Yeah, my reputation would be ruined unless they're in a lockout. Okay.
And they oh Lord have mercy. They do, and they know what they come for,
Ain't know what
and
they come for.
they tip. They definitely tip well.
They're paying you for silence.
Yeah, you know, and that comes with the experience, and so the level of comfortability comes with the assurance of discretion.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like I said before, it's just another element of the lifestyle. And I don't know if you've ever been to a lifestyle party. For those who don't
No.
know what a lifestyle party is, that's a swingers party.
Mm.
Uh,
Been invited a few times, but I never went. Yeah.
you should check it out. You know,
Okay.
see what you know good. But but basically, the transferables between those spaces is that you're entering a space of confidentiality where people know that a part of the decorum is discretion, is that you're paying to have this particular experience that will stay in this space. It will not follow you. And depending on what type of lifestyle space you're in, some of them actually come with waivers that you must sign. Because depending on the venue, you can be put on a list or a do not invite list. There are implications, socially impactful implications
Yes.
for you breaking the rules of engagement. And because it takes so much to have spaces like that be a comfortable space of exploration, of discovery and excitement, and to maintain that type of energy. So anyone who's going to play in those spaces must play by the rules.
Yeah, it's still a controlled environment.
Yes, at the end of the day, it's controlled, and that's the part of the draw.
It's like Disneyland. So control. It seems dangerous, but it's a controlled environment.
Yeah. Oh man. Yes. Disneyland. Oh, mercy. That's a great adult Disneyland.
It's Mr. Toad's wild ride, but not too wild. Okay, it's controlled. You'll be safe at the end of the day. Okay. All
Right.
Continue.
Now, gentlemen, of course, it's not even close. All right. Off the bat, you've got what is referred to as the Baddie starter kit here. And like I said, it's a social meme to the point where people actually trade the elements of this aesthetic around online. And incidentally, if you were to type in and search Dyme piece starter kit, you will not be able to find anything. You will not be able to find a memeified version of these of elements that you can put together to get a Dyme piece. It just does not exist. That shows you that this is something that is a natural occurrence, which makes it rare. Okay. That's another distinguishing factor between an actual Dyme piece and a Baddie. The whole aesthetic and the notion of a Baddie came about because women wanted to flatten the SMV scale, which, as we know, gentlemen, is a vertical scale. Okay. The example that we have posted on the screen right now is just an example of how the SMV vertical scale works in contrast to sort of leveled or flattened Baddie spectrum. So this particular graphic is based on, of course, your copy of the Seduction Scriptures, because of course you have your copy of the Seduction Scriptures. Why wouldn't you have it? If you do not, click the link below. You can get your own personal copy, including an autographed copy if you would like. But basically, this is taken from pages 110 to 112 of the Seduction Scriptures. And basically, when we look at sort of the left-hand side of this graphic here with the red arrow, we see that it SMV is on a
okay.
And I definitely want to get your thoughts on this this particular graphic. But first of all, shout out to Charles Faulkner. Definitely we'll get back to the DMV and have those cigars. But your comic section is off the chain, man. Don Calypso, man. Instead of Marlboros, it should be Black and Miles. I can't.
That is true. Okay.
No, but what are your thoughts initially on this particular model here?
It's pretty as you advance up. Yeah, it's pretty point on, and you advance up as far as wealth is too, as far as how much it costs. Like the top, top scale of a baddie would be to be a sugar baby, because this is based on sex, okay, and the other scale is based on a training and class, okay, and so a baddie that wants to be a sugar baby, all this is about sex, about sexual access, because that's what you're selling pretty much as far as a baddie, okay. Everything screams, okay, I cost this much for sex because I got a BBL, I got my skin tightened. I got this. I got that. It screams money. Okay, how much? How much will you pay for me? Okay, whereas the on the other side of the scale is about what class do I fit in?
Right.
And as you move up, the higher the class. Okay.
Right. So so one is basically about access as opposed to the other one being about a
Yeah,
transaction. How much you can
transactional. Yeah, yeah. Baddie's more about transactional. As the women on the stage yesterday were talking about it. How much does my ass cost? You know.
mm-hmm. And I mean, again, I've got experience in both of those worlds, on
Hmm.
both of those sort of axes, right? And baddies, they, you know, some of them, if they play their cards right, they are definitely able to um be in spaces, find themselves in spaces.
Hmm.
When I refer to the one of the 100 octanes that you know I interact with, and I don't know if you remember this conversation we had about her having to get a new passport flown to her
Oh
because she
yes.
was stuck at the French embassy.
Right.
Like, what? You was just on the south side of Chicago. What's going? how, how did you get there?
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. And she was not prepared because she's never really been there before. So then,
well, yeah. Well, I mean, it got lost somewhere because
yeah.
remember, this is the one. Okay, look, I'm gonna change some details, but some of the details will be there because they're interesting. She was flown there by a Congolese oil prince.
Okay. Mm,
Right.
okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get that. I'm feeling. I'm feeling you. Okay.
And so this 100 octane is someone who I know personally um got to that space
Mm-hmm.
because she applied some of the Baddie
Mm-hmm.
um
Principles.
starter kit.
Yeah.
And again, like I don't have anything against baddies, um but it's just interesting how women adapt or have adapted to sort of modern technology, modern dynamics in order to access the sort of trappings of their desires, or whether it's an experience, whether it's a caliber of man, whether it's resources to provide not only a lifestyle for themselves, but for their social circle, their family, their children, or what have you. It's just an interesting adaptation to modernity, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. In Mlavo, what I was saying about the market being deregulated is that it's opened up much like trade is Chinese goods, Japanese goods come in a cheaper fashion. Okay. Whereas there used to be a restriction, now the market is open. So you got a wider group of women competing for the same quote unquote dollar, for lack of a better term. Okay. And and with the economy going the way it is, you're getting more women that are entering into the field. So with the market being deregulated, you come into the laws of supply and demand. And because you're turning, and women are actually doing this, whether they like it or not. That's one thing about baddies in this kind of um, stuff that's going on right now, right? It's not intrinsic; it's actually commodified. That's what the baddie starter kit is. Okay, I'm trying to level up in my looks because I want a certain outcome. I'm trading, like the women on the panel saying, I'm trading my looks and my sexuality in for a dividend. Okay.
Right.
It's fine if you're rare. And I think they were saying the thing, when they first got their ass,
Mhm.
quote unquote, it was rare. It was much more expensive to get. What happens when the price comes down? It becomes much more common. Put more women actually into the supply, supply and demand, right? Uh, demand goes down, supply goes up, demand goes down, and also what cost goes down. So that's what I mean by deregulated. So and when I say cost, for man is time, money, resources, effort, attention, right? Okay, and as that gets diluted, you know, over time, guess what happens? Man's time, money, attention also goes down. That's what I'm saying by being deregulated. It's a warning to women that they're playing it. They're playing a commodity game that they shouldn't play.
Right. And the novelty wears off
Yeah.
and the market responds
Yeah.
to the supply, and we're seeing that with the I don't know if you remember the video that went around where the woman interviewer asked women, do men prefer natural women or BBL women? And the majority of the women said, well, BBLs. When she asked that to the men, the majority of the men said natural.
Natural. Yeah.
So that's the market speaking,
Yes.
you know.
And
But
eventually it will, eventually really with the BBLs, got to notice those two are strippers, and they're in that arena where BBLs get them more attention because that's what they're there for. But as it becomes more common, stripper culture becomes more common, then it's not a novelty anymore.
yes, and to touch back on a previous sort of observation in terms of the compliment that the 85 or 87 baddie provides for the so-called thug or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
the disposability aspect.
Yes.
Part of the
Yes.
lure for thugs for women in those spaces is the fact that it's quick money.
Mm-hmm.
It's an exciting emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
You get to be with this sort of exotic person,
Mm-hmm.
and and whenever you're done, or if there's a challenge, or the relationship sours, you can toss him and he's on, or he's going to get locked up, or something else is going to happen
Right.
to him,
Disposability.
and then it's
Yeah.
on to another experience. And so when we look at the other end of that spectrum, that's what's happening with the BBL culture. It's a culture of disposability.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's what you're trading in. Okay. Quick money, quick attention, and disposability. That's why dimes have to be trained. Is because
Right.
it's more than just the way they look, it's where they carry themselves, where they dress. Because you can't take a baddie, most baddies, into a black tie event. Not
Correct.
saying all. There's no such thing as all, but most of them you can't.
Right. And I think one of the young ladies spoke to that, actually having to be quiet, like knowing when you have to be quiet yesterday on that video, but or resisting the urge to snap out, or to and yeah, that's one of the things that I say when I reply to people who say there's some matchmakers who claim that high value men, or 92 octane men, or however you want to position it, those type of men would take a waitress, a restaurant waitress from Denny's,
Right.
and marry her. I'm like, you don't really know this caliber of men, because you're not really going to be able to take a Denny's waitress to a gala,
No.
or a fundraiser where you're rubbing elbows with the board members of a project, or even the chamber of commerce that you're trying to establish a relationship
Right.
with.
Not unless you're willing to train her, and even then it's going to be awkward, because the
Right.
thing is you got to interact with the wives, and the other women can tell.
And that's a great point that you brought up. The wives are there specifically to gatekeep against
Yes.
interlopers
Yes.
who could possibly stain the social circle.
Remember Pretty Woman, when she went into the boutique on Beverly Hills, as dressed as herself, right? And it was women that actually gatekeeped. They're actually mean to her.
Right. And that's their role. That's their
That's it.
job. That is their responsibility. Believe it or not, because there's a way in which a woman who wishes to ascend into a new social class goes about doing that. There are schools, there are finishing schools, there are systems of refinement, and there are protocols.
Yeah.
So for someone attempting to circumvent all of that just by marrying rich, or by screw their way into a situation, um human nature, right? This is the beauty of the complementary nature of men and women.
Yeah.
Right.
A good movie that kind of gives you an example about going from ascending classes or cutting classes, how hard it is La Femme Nikita.
Okay.
Where it took a street chick, basically a street urchin,
Mhm.
and because she had to be an assassin, they had to
Right.
train her how to fit into the upper echelons of circles. So they had to take her through intense training. It had to be done by I'm not a madam for the most part. Um,
Right.
how to train, how to fit in, how to eat, how to sit, how to speak, how to perform, how to fit in, and so that's actually a good film to actually see the transformation that transformed her from a street urchin into a classier woman, or
Right.
at least.
It's
Go ahead. Sorry.
almost like a take on Pygmalion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but no, I mean, it's interesting to look at that dynamic. That's really why, that's really one of the dominant values of finding a right one, the right woman or complementary woman
Right.
that reflects your class, that
Right.
reflects your vision, that reflects who you are. Because if you're a man of a certain stature,
Mm-hmm.
you want to discover the type of woman who complements that, but also understands you as the man, you're the coverer, right? You bring the covering, but she's supposed to bring the concealment.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of the complementary dynamic in that. And part of the concealment, just like if you're looking at an 87 octane or 89 octane, part of the concealment is women gatekeeping at the cookout, not
Yes.
not
Yes.
allowing just anybody's potato salad to show up on the table.
That is true.
That's a
That's
part of, class gatekeeping.
Jam Farce's My Fair Lady is another good film. True. It's about class. I'm following you two. The Bailey sisters, Chloe and Halle, are dimes, cosplaying as baddies, while Majorie and Lori Harvey are baddies cosplaying as dimes.
Uh,
Majorie is 100 octane. She always was, okay. And
yeah,
Lori Harvey has been raised to be in those circles because of
yeah.
wealth and access.
Mhm.
And no, they're not baddies, okay. They're both actually cosplaying as baddies because that's where the money is. So they're trying to attract common women to buy their clothing. So they're trying to follow the Kardashian meme, right?
Mhm.
Kardashians are not. Uh, they try to cosplay as baddies, okay, and they're not. But I think that's why they set the template for how to move up the scale.
Yeah, the Kardashian motif is an interesting um, sort of case study for
Hmm.
popular culture and um, what influences the masses in
Hmm.
terms of, and they're generational,
Hmm.
obviously. And when we talk about the aesthetics that the Kardashians brought to
Hmm.
uh, society,
Hmm.
the eyes, the 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 pouty lips,
Hmm.
the narrow waist,
The hips,
and
yeah,
the ass. I mean,
yeah,
like
yeah. The
the
ass, it's true. Yeah,
mainstreaming uh, front and center
yeah,
for certain classes, the BBL,
yeah. Yep,
um,
yep.
because
The original sturdy kit. Yeah.
right, yeah, no, that motif, because what Kim did for 92s and
Hmm.
100 octanes is what um I don't know if you remember Ketoy Johnson and Buffy the Body
Oh yeah, yes,
did,
yes.
you know for 85s, diesels, and 87s, back in the day. So it's interesting how this.
Diesels and 100 octanes have a lot of crossover.
Yes, a lot of trading going on.
Hmm.
And they know that they know their limits. But what where their limits aesthetically
Hmm.
come into play, that's where their
Hmm.
game comes in. That's where their mouthpiece comes in. That's where their social navigation skills uh, come into play. If she can't get to the top man, she'll know how to work the accountant, or she'll know how to work the side man, or she'll know how to
Hmm.
work,
Right.
and
She'll drop down a level. Yeah.
there's so many weapons,
Hmm.
so many weapons that
Hmm.
women have. There's not enough time to break. Um, but again, I mean, that's part of the beauty of the dynamic.
Yeah, but the thing is, can she settle for the accountants? Can she settle for the executive? And that's the problem when it comes in. Ebony K. Williams has that problem. She couldn't drop down and get the accountant or get the executive or get the businessman. So because she couldn't settle, she couldn't be happy. I said, if you've ever watched Shogun, I want a Fuji-sama, one of the most refined classic characters I've ever watched. Gonna go to the source for a modern version. A different culture and different training, but basically, they're more like courtesans. Courtesans are on
Mhm.
another level.
Yes.
Courtesans on another level altogether. Okay,
Yeah.
uh,
They're
um,
bred for
they're
military.
bred, and they're trained in the court from normally from little girls. You notice a courtesan. Uh, and how they talk, how they carry themselves, and how different they are. Okay, so I
Mm.
mean, we're talking about eight, nines, and tens and baddies, but courtesans are almost like a difference between a 92 and a global elite. Okay,
Right.
it's a different class in itself, kind of outside of the spectrum.
Yeah. They're groomed for diplomacy,
Yes, yes,
state dinners, and
yes. Yep.
a baddie could never. Is that?
Oh, okay. Might cause an international incident.
Listen. Oh man, listen. What happens on a Monaco yacht?
Mm-hmm.
The,
Stays
the
on the
weird
Monaco
stuff in Dubai. That's about as far as they get, or as close as they
and,
get to that.
and that's the oil baron and the passport, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, but because you have to know, as a woman, she knows
Yeah.
she has to know how to carry herself.
Mhm.
She has to know, how to improvise, and she needs a network.
Yes.
So you don't just go in with the business card and say, "Hey, I know this guy," or whatever. No. You have to not only be able to dance with who brought you, but you need to also have references
Mhm.
to other, known people, and that's why part of the upper class sort of negotiation strategy is who's your father,
Yes.
what does he do, what is he into.
Where you go to school, who's your connection, who's your friends, what network are you in, who do you know? That kind of stuff. It's the South kind of works the same way as far as
Yes,
the thing is, what's your pedigree?
right.
Yeah.
And on down the octane scale,
Mm-hmm.
who your people.
Who your people? You roll up into 85, roll up into a hood, man. Who you know?
Right.
Who you here to see?
Where your mama in there.
Where your mama now? Yep. Connections. Yeah. Yep. All right, continuing.
Mhm. Vertical scale, starting with 4, which is unassuming, 5 conventional, 6 adjustable, 7 timeless, 8 classic, 9 iconic, and 10 the general consensus of hotness. So when we look at the contrast between the SMV scale as a vertical
Mm-hmm.
to the Baddie feature line as this sort of leveled out playing field, this sort of like kindergarten teacher version of, everybody gets a participation trophy, or the Pee Wee football league ran by the soccer moms, that wants everybody to get a chance to score a goal. We look at that they're just features instead of ascending attributes that add or enhance the natural feminine aesthetic. And what's interesting is when putting this information together, you just go through different pictures and different examples of what the modern baddie aesthetic looks like. You can literally line up women who fit within this sort of meme, and they do look similar. They're just separated by different lifestyle activities, and that's why I put down below the different places and spaces where you can find women who rock this baddie aesthetic. For example, the gym baddie, the work baddie, the travel / flued out baddie, the boss baddie, of course, the date night baddie, and the sugar baby baddie. So these are just features on a spectrum instead of being having an ascending scale that creates a vertical line between what starts out as unassuming, going all the way up to the general consensus of what is considered hotness. So, gentlemen, let's be clear in putting this together to answer the question that someone had. I think it was a great question, what the difference is between a dime piece and a baddie. Let's just be clear. We want to make sure that we exist in reality. We want to stay in the realm of keeping it real, as is, one of the foundational axioms of game. Keep it real. Not to say that baddies are not attractive. Let's be clear. There are plenty of women who put on this particular aesthetic for whatever reason. They want to play with that look and see what it does for them. Maybe they're trying out a different aesthetic that they want to experiment with. But keep in mind, at the end of the day, the dime piece and the baddie, they do not occupy the same space. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question in terms of what the difference is between the dime piece and the baddie. If you have any thoughts, ideas, comments, or if you've encountered your share of baddies and even dime pieces, leave those comments down below. And as always, this is your man, Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, saying stay sharp and mission focused. Later.
Yeah, I would say that in my estimation, the difference between a baddie and a dime is a baddie is normally artificial.
Right.
Most times. Not always, but most times.
Right. And there's a level of cosplaying that goes into that, because when you speak to quote the incomparable Aretha Franklin, a natural woman.
Yes.
Okay. The energy coming across is undeniable. The authenticity that you feel is undeniable, and that's really what the draw is when we talk about natural women as opposed to artificially presented women, and in that the conversation flows more naturally. The connection would be obviously more genuine, and this is not this is not all, but in general, that's really the point of these presentations, is so that when we are looking for our reflection, if we're not looking at an honest picture, we're not going to get an honest reflection of who we are.
Yeah.
And as men, the reason why the truth matters is because without truth, nothing matters. You don't have anything to build upon. You don't have anything to set your orientational framing on. You don't have anything to set your sights in terms of your vision, long range vision on, or even how you're going to accomplish that which is your mission. So yeah, it's funny to look at the contrast and to point out, how this sort of awkward and extreme, some women go with this whole baddie sort of starter kit with the nails and how do you wipe after the washroom and all this weird stuff. But at the end of the day, this is really about a human connection. How do you express your humanity, and what does it say that you're only going after the artificial? Is it reflecting that which it is? Are you artificial? These are the the sort of introspective questions that we hope to lay at the feet of the average man, so that he can make that evaluation and that personal assessment, so that he can come up with an honest answer.
And the thing is that, the reason that the women are very good at doing this, right, by looking at the aesthetic and knowing what archetype to mimic to attract the men. Because, all this stuff gets fed into men's brains. It goes into your subconscious. And when you see it in person, okay, it matches up and you get attracted to it. And women are very good at mimicking these archetypes of attraction. So that's why if it's a big ass, like when with stripper culture, even the Kardashians, right? Okay, how can I get more men to be attracted to me? Okay, I see that the archetype now is the big ass or the big tits or the tattoos that exude sexual availability, right? So if I mimic that, and I could hack the man's subconscious by doing that.
Right. All about grasping that attention.
Yeah.
And that's really why, that's what that thinking right there, that thought is what went into my definition of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
It's a temporary or extended state of fixation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I asked the follow-up question, what happens? Like, how does beauty affect you?
Mm-hmm.
And for most men, yeah, it is a state of fixation. I'm fixated
Mm-hmm.
on
Yeah.
this
It,
representation
it,
of
it's subconscious. It's not even something that's conscious. I mean, in advertising, basically they use it all the time, right? How do you hack the subconscious to get people to buy, or what kind of look should a car have to actually get the person to spend more money? Is it the leather seats? Is it the smell? Is the curve of the car? Is the lights? What is it? What is it that can attract people's attention so
right.
that will actually spend more money or be more attracted to it or get an experience just by being around it? And that's what hacking. So the question is, does this make Kim Kardashian a dime baddie combo meal? That's a very good question. Okay,
I would say
you
in the
got the
case
right
of
person.
Kim Kardashian, because of the time that she entered the public sphere and the
Mm-hmm.
way in which she entered the public sphere,
Mm-hmm.
why she became the motif of a generation
Mm-hmm.
is that the aesthetic that she presented
Mm-hmm.
was unique at the time.
Time, yeah.
And so going back to what you said before, that's something that most women observed. She was getting NBA players. She got, you know, a the a high level producer.
Mm-hmm.
She got access to the top of the culture,
Yeah.
basically, and in different realms. And so that access is attractive to the majority of women. And so they're like,
Mm-hmm.
well, if that's how she got access,
Yeah.
let me follow that
Yeah. Let me
script.
copy.
Let me
Let me
follow that format.
copy the archetype. Yeah. See,
So
Leon
to answer
said,
the go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. No,
I
no,
was gonna
finish.
say to answer the question, um, she was considered a dime in her prime. Now that sort of torch has been passed to Kylie and some others, but for that moment of time,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she would have been classified as a dime because she
Yeah.
was the pop culture standard
She was,
for
yeah.
hotness.
She set the standard, and plus, she comes from an upper class. She was 100 octane before she actually put all the bolt-ons. But she wanted to really she wanted to hack into the minds of young girls. Really wasn't about the men, believe it or not. It's about selling a look to make money to
Oh,
the
and it's
broader
sold. I
culture.
mean,
Yeah.
multi-billion.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It made a few other men multi-billions. Shout out
Right.
to Kanye. Okay.
Which is a testament. Again, when we talk about the ingenuity of femininity, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this is all a testament to it. It's
Y-
not
y-
something that we're, you know, criticizing. I mean, we're observing it for what it is.
Yeah, I would put the Kardashians more as courtesans than I would put them in the league of dimes or even baddies. So they're more like courtesans. Okay. You notice what they did for Kanye and for the other people they're associated with, even though, it was built around reality shows and a little ratchetness. But the thing is, what they did as far as family is concerned, okay, they're courtesans.
Right. They had the network
Yeah, the network. Yeah.
well before the BBL. They had the
Yeah.
network.
Yep. If I sent B just my last two exes and wife, he could easily pick out my type real quick. Nerd, natural, lazy, gym head type of woman. Okay. Right. I have to see what the motif is. Okay. And so Sama says, BGS, the African immigrants women come across who work entry level jobs here in the DMV are far more fit, friendly, feminine, better looking than ABWs. Thoughts on how uh, would that archetype octanes are class levels, okay? So octanes are not archetypes. How you look is different than your class level. Class level is your training, your background, how you carry yourself, your circle, yada yada yada. Okay, those are octanes. Those are class levels. They're different. But normally African immigrants that get here, if you've ever been to an embassy in Africa, right? Only maybe the top 5% of people actually get here, unless you're really, really lucky. So the African immigrants that come here are actually the top 5% of where they came from. So there are the upper class.
And I think it's interesting. Well, it's important to note the difference between class as a socioeconomic
Yeah.
expression as opposed to class as a status, as the difference between white, black, and immigrant. Those are different status classes.
I said, Pimp Guy says the baddies core demographic are low value men with high incomes. Yes, disposable. Exactly.
Mm,
That's what the stripper yesterday was saying. Why she likes those particular kind of guys. Fast money, illicit lifestyles, more than likely, and disposable. And that's why come she likes them because she sees herself as disposable. That's
mm.
why she doesn't want to be in with corporate guys or executives because she knows she doesn't fit. She knows she doesn't fit. She knows that. She knows herself. So that's what she said. She knows herself, and she knows that the guys, these executives trying to interact with her, see her as disposable. Okay,
Right.
they know that you just there to use me for my service, and then a week later you can barely know my name, other
Isn't it
than
something?
the next time to call me. Yeah.
The level of self-awareness, right?
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
that's why I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. She was. She was. She's probably far more candid than she probably anticipated. Okay.
Mhm.
Age of Nations says streams like yours help me learn how the dimes think. Okay, the history and psychology of what you introduced by showing us how they think saved me a lot of headaches. The info on how slavery factored into was clutch, helped a lot. Thanks. Yep. Well, yeah, it all depends on your culture. Because dimes are different in different cultures, okay, and how they
Right.
interact and how they what they go for and all kinds of stuff. So it's different. There's a universal thing about dimes being attractive and actually trained by upper class men. Starting, 'cause if you're a dime, I mean, if you're a dime, 8, 9, or 10, or 9 or 10 is which is more closer to it, right? You're gonna get spotted early. You're gonna get spotted as young as 13. So even if you come from a lower class of person, those Mercedes and those high class cars are going to start showing up in the hood to kind of come get you. There's very few women that are that good looking that slip through. Okay.
Just like Pee Wee League football
Yep.
has scouts
Yep.
monitoring,
Yep.
showing up,
Yep.
and tracking them
Yep.
from 7, 8, 9,
Yep.
all the way up until they're 17, 18, and 19.
And
So
where it gets out. Yeah.
no different.
No different. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Which the high caliber athlete and dimes are essentially almost not the same thing, but very closely related about what the experience that they go through.
Yeah, and that's just like so. All of these sort of observations they factor into how we're painting the picture, the broader picture of humanity,
Mm.
and how it dispels a lot of theories, quote unquote theories. We won't get into, you know, um, the depth of those theories that have been deconstructed
Yep.
by a lot
A
of
lot of
the
people. Yep.
professionals, the academics in these spaces. But
Hmm.
a lot of those theories fall flat when we look at humanity. All we have to do
Hmm.
is just look out at humanity
Yeah.
and observe and describe what it is that we're
Yeah,
observing.
yeah, and basically all we're doing is classifying them and kind of deconstructing the classifications. You know exactly what you're looking at when you observe it. Like you just see those two women on the panel. Me and Tita saw the man. Okay, we know who these people are. Okay, if they're
Mhm.
not diesels, they're pretty close. And sure enough, they were diesels. They were strippers.
Oh yeah, I mean just by listening to
Oh yeah, listening to them.
to the conversation and just how um, they had to learn how to navigate certain spaces as
Hmm.
opposed to being born
Right.
into those the navigation of those spaces. Very very interesting observation, and also for men, if if you want to take away something from what those women were putting out,
Hmm.
is that when women truly desire something, they're going to study it.
Yes.
So if you're the type of man who is refining himself, who is self-confident, self-aware,
Hmm.
and is moving on his mission, there are women who are studying you. There, whether you know it or not,
Hmm.
whether
Yeah.
you notice them or not, there are women who are studying you. And
Yeah.
as you continue on your journey of masculine mastery.
Mm-hmm.
You get your suit game together, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get your tailored stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the gym. You get your skin regimen together.
Mm-hmm.
You put all these pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
Those women are continuing to study you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's for the purpose of offering that compliment, that reflection
Mm-hmm.
of who it is that they see themselves as
Mm-hmm.
being their better half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You're a reflection of them, and vice versa, and hacking into what they like um, is the same thing as them hacking into what you like. Okay, you're just reversing the game because
Right.
women love to put you in boxes because men kind of transcend boxes a little bit because they're more like opposing it, whereas women actually copy each other.
Yes.
Okay, they don't really invent anything new. Very seldom do they invent anything new. Normally, they find a trend and they actually try to copy it. So
Yeah.
that's why they actually identify a woman and her stance and what she's like by who she's copied.
Yeah. And that's why outliers are so interesting.
Mm-hmm. And yes,
You
they are.
know, when you get a female outlier,
Mm-hmm.
you've got someone who you're definitely going to have an interesting conversation with. You're going to have a good time in terms of how that
Mm-hmm.
engagement goes.
Mm-hmm.
But know that depending on how you want that dynamic to work, you're really going to have to take her on because she's going against her social mores
Mm-hmm.
of her class, of her um, heredity, or whatever her circumstance is locally. She's going against that
Mm-hmm.
because she's an outlier. So you have to be able to create space so
Mm-hmm.
that she can exist in your world.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 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 So we're at hour and a half. I know it goes by quick, and we could probably do this for another 2 or 3.
Very much so. So let me know when you're ready to do a deep dive on the state of AI. We can.
All you gotta do is email me, man. Anytime, anytime we
Oh
can do it
man,
because um, from what I'm hearing, from the budget and from other things like I know you heard about the AI hospital they're actually building in China, right?
no.
You haven't heard that? Okay, I'll send it to you. Where they're
Okay.
actually building they're experimenting with an AI hospital where it's basically run by a few doctors, but mostly is AI driven with all the techniques and testing and all the kind of stuff that's built into the hospital rather than doctors. So that's what they're on now. So this is going to be the next level.
That's a little sinister.
Uh,
We,
well,
I'll take a look at the article and get into it. But when we
it, it,
talk
it-
about
it's actually a video, but the thing is, and this is something that even Schweiker was talking about, right? You have to find a way to actually reduce the cost of healthcare for people because it's draining the budget. So it's a cost benefit analysis. Are we willing to take on more AI and more automation to lower cost, or what? And that's the issue that they're at right now.
hearing AI in hospital or an AI run hospital immediately puts me in the mindset of the Manchurian Candidate, and in that you've got programs who are in control of an unconscious, vulnerable human.
I don't think. I think it's more. I think it's less. A hospital surgery is just a minor part of running a hospital, right?
Mhm.
It's mostly testing and evaluating stuff like that, and that's what they're talking about. There's going to be humans there. It's not going to be completely
No, no,
automated.
human patients.
I mean, yeah. Well, I'm talking about even as far as uh, personnel, reduce
Right.
personnel, but things most of your testing is going to be done by AI.
Mhm.
Surgery, I don't know about surgery. Surgery, I think, is still going to be done by humans for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen videos about the accuracy of AI
Hmm. Diagnosis
led
and stuff like that. Yeah,
led
yeah,
surgeries and diagnostics. So
yeah, yeah. Well, even because my father, right, he had cancer, and I would notice that a doctor would give a diagnosis, and then a month later he had to come back in because they sent the results to an AI and it found something, so he had to
mm,
go because doctors do miss things. So
mhm.
so it's a compliment to human doctors. So used
Yeah,
right, I think it's fine.
yeah,
But when it co-
used
but
right.
when it comes to capitalism and profits and reducing costs, then Can it or can it not get out of hand? So, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I look forward to the article.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
So as always, shout out to everybody in the chat. Hilarious. You have one of the most engaging chats out there. But again, salute to you for hosting this. I appreciate that. And salute to the chat as always. We look forward to the next conversation. Hopefully it'll be a whole panel. I know I'm not always available for panels, but you know what? You put the right conversation out there.
All you gotta do is say panel, and I put the link down, and next thing you know, 8 more people will pop up. The panel on a BGS stream is nothing. Okay, I just say I want a panel. Boom. Okay, done. Everybody will rush in. Okay,
right.
And
but I mean,
shout out to cousin Tita. I don't have your Patreon link available. Oh, maybe I do. Hold on a second. Is it on your? Is it on one of your videos?
Yeah. It should be under all my videos.
Okay. Let me see if I can find it and post.
But it's just Patreon / the Alpha Wingman. So
okay.
That's all the good stuff that can't be said in public.
And, he has stories. You want to hear stories? He's got stories. Okay, I think that's the one.
Yeah. And the lessons that come with the stories. It's not just juicy stories about like how women really get down behind closed door, but the lesson to take away, if you so happen to find yourself behind those closed doors.
If you can access them, there is his Cash App.
Appreciate it.
And I see if I can find his Patreon. I think that's it. It's not giving me a full link. There we go.
So lastly, what do you think about the Terrence Howard video or the interview?
I think it's.
Did you watch it all the way through? Did you?
I watched most of it, but thing is that I understand what he's saying as far as esoterically, and it kind of fits with men fight theology. But thing is, it's a good it's good as far as philosophy, but as far as changing a mathematical system, it's a waste because mathematics is built on a certain system, and trying to change it and how it's built, it's got to be built concrete, and even the zero. If you go back to how it's actually defined, zero is actually undefined. Okay, originally there was no zero before algebra. Okay, before the Middle East got to it,
I think that's one of the points he was making on there.
Yeah, there was no zero. But thing is,
it serves as a function, but not.
But we also didn't have negative numbers either. So you had to have a beginning. So they instituted zero as a starting point.
Yeah, I actually at the gym that I go to, I know a guy who went to high school with him.
Oh, really, Terrence Howard? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, get him on the phone, man. Like, let's try to set something up. Man.
Set something up. And he probably says, "I know you." Be just on behalf of your guest. Here is another $20. I learned a lot between a Dyme and versus a Baddie. You have the expert right here. Okay. He has to navigate both, and I do mean navigate both.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's one of the amazing parts of being a man. Being able to have these discoveries, have these conversations and experiences. But not only that, having the ability to take away lessons that you can carry forward. And part of the game is paying it forward, and that's what we hope to do with those who tune into these conversations.
Yeah. And if you want more, please join his Patreon. Trust and believe his Patreon is lit. If you want to know the inside dope on this kind of stuff, he has it. And there's tiers. Let's put it that way. There's tiers. If you want the real inside dope, you're gonna have to pay. All right, but it's well worth it.
Oh yeah, it's worth it.
It's
definitely worth it. So,
all right, folks. Till next time. We're almost at 2 hours. So till next time. I'm going to take us out and appreciate Cousin for stopping by and dropping some game. And it's hilarious as always.
My pleasure.
All right.
Peace to you and peace to the chat.
All right, folks. Peace out. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully.